Show you real quick the migration toolkit for applications and how it might help you with your Camel 2 to 3 migration. You can download it here, of course, no cost from this download location. There's a couple different deployment options. You can see distributions around. There's the web console and there's the CLI and there's some integrations with your IDEs and plugins. I just, for starters, just to show, I'm just using the 5.3 web console. And so I've downloaded and installed that locally. And then over here, within the unzipped location, I've just started up run the startup script here. It only supports Java 11 right now, which is kind of interesting. But so I had to just set my configuration for Java 11 instead of the default 17. So just something to keep in mind. Once this is started up, you'll get a nice website started up. So you can see that here it's listening. The admin console, it's not for JBoss isn't started, but that's okay. Because really what we want is the MTA UI. So it's available. And the real quick and simple way to get started is just to create a project. And in this one, we can call this Camel 2 to 3. This might be more specific to your application, but we'll say next. Here, if you have the jar, you can upload it. So a lot of times organizations don't always have the access to source code, but they just do the class. So, but we know we have the source code. So I'm just using this simple Camel in action example. So to here, so right before the source directory is what I put. And then since this directory does contain source code, or the exploded application, I'm checking that box, and then it should pick that up. So at this point, we're going to set the transformation target. What rules do we want to apply to the analysis? By default, the EAP7 is selected, but in this case, we don't want that. So we're going to unselect it just by clicking it. But we want to scooch over here to the Camel rules for migration and select it. And then we'll do a next. We'll select the package where your code is located, the Camel in action in this case, and pop that over in the list box. So now this Camel in action package will be analyzed, and then we'll say next. There's some additional rules. If you have custom rules, you might want to create some, of course, specific to your organization. We'll say next, custom labels. Not going to put anything there, just to show. And then we'll just say next, and we'll say save and run. So again, just showing a real quick example of how you can take some existing source code and we can work through more complicated scenarios or more robust, analysis capabilities. But just wanted to get you started here. So that'll run. Again, this is just a few classes, not a big deal. Once that's done, you'll click the analysis and you can click the reports. And here's your list of applications. In this case, we're going to click on Spring, and that'll give you the report, and you can dive down into what it's identified, what issues. So here's the dashboard. They put some kind of level of effort or how many points, right, out based on the complexity. And so here you can see some of the known things around changes in the Camel core, right? So in this case, these components were moved out of Camel core to separate artifacts. In this case, tracing no longer enabled by default. There's just a few things that it's going to see. Certain dependencies are going to change because of the move from core. So this is obviously just a fairly trivial example of the migration toolkit, but just wanted to bring it to your attention as you start the migration process. Hope this is helpful. Just ping me if you have any questions. I'm glad to walk through it or get more experts connected to help you. Thanks.